Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I realized that it's been like 2 or 3 months since I last recorded something, which, sorry, that's my bad. I got busy during the holidays and everything was just really hectic. But this is a new year. I want to get better at, being more consistent over here, especially since I record some stuff for TikTok a lot, and the terms and conditions have changed recently, so I kind of want to make a shift over here and start recording and making more videos for YouTube. So that is going to be hopefully starting today. I do have a really good one to kick off the year, or like to, kind of get back into the swing of things, and that is talking about the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all, or AKA the Green Yuri, because I started reading it at the beginning of this year, and I just read the most recent volume, which I will talk about in this video, but it's so good, and I just feel the need to talk about the series and to just kind of like review it, do a quick review, and also talk about the most recent volume because I loved it. I thought it was great, and I think if you haven't picked it up or given it a chance yet, you need to, because quite frankly, this is one of the best things out right now in my opinion. So if you haven't checked it out, stop sleeping on it. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. Okay, so as is customary on this channel, I'm going to set a quick baseline by giving a brief summary, just so that people know what the premise of the story is before I get into any of the deeper plot points in the manga. And this is also the point where spoilers will occur after this section for sure. So if you just want to hear the summary and then go on your merry way, that's fine. But just know that this is kind of like where spoilers would happen. But to get into it, basically this story follows two girls, Mitsuki Koga and Aya Osawa, who are classmates. They sit next to each other in class. Typically, especially at the beginning of the story, didn't really interact that much. They are very much different worlds, like, in terms of style, in terms of personality, outwardly anyway. But one day, Aya does stop into this record store and she sees the guy sitting at the counter, and she thinks he's adorable, cute, hot, whatever. And basically then, develops a crush on him. However, the guy at the counter isn't a guy, it's actually Mitsuki, because Mitsuki dresses entirely differently outside of school and also typically wears a mask while working at the record store that her uncle owns. So basically, Aya has developed a crush on Mitsuki without Aya knowing, but Mitsuki is aware of who Aya is because Aya just showed up in her school uniform looking totally the same. But through this misunderstanding, they actually do develop a really strong bond through music, because what happens is, turns out these two actually share the same music taste, which is different from a lot of their peers and people their age. So it's something they can bond over and kind of like get closer through. And over the course of the story, it's really nice to see them kind of like bond through music, and then also just kind of develop a relationship where they kind of help uplift each other and help push each other towards like being their best selves, which is one of the best selling points of this manga for me. Outside of the wholesome moments and just how well written all the characters are, it really is a story of how two girls kind of like form a world where they can like be each other, be themselves with each other essentially, and also eventually with their friends as well. So that's just kind of the overall summary, I would say. So again, there will be spoilers after this point, so if you don't want any spoilers, definitely just click off the video, maybe read volume 1 and come back. But yeah, that's the overall summary. Before I address anything else, I'm going to talk about the art style, because this manga has affectionately been nicknamed by its fans the Green Yuri for the very obvious fact that it is green. This is volume 3, which I'll be talking about later in the video, but as you can see here on the cover, to give you an idea, the characters themselves are drawn in the more traditional kind of like black and white style that we see in manga, and the background of the paneling is typically done in this green color. And at first, I will say this is like was the biggest kind of hang up for me getting into the series, because I like Yuri and I liked music, and I was like, honestly, this sounds like it's really up my alley. However, I'm not sure how I will feel about reading something that has this kind of like green coloration on each page. And I was incredibly wrong. Kicking myself for not starting this sooner, because the green really helps the character designs pop off the page. Which, by the way, character designs in here, amazing. They really do a great job of reflecting who the characters are on the inside. Like, when Mitsuki feels comfortable, when she's in her safe space, her world, she dresses in her more alt style, her more rock style, like her uncle, like her uncle's ex-girlfriend, Kana. She dresses in that style, versus like at school, she'll dress in like the more traditional, like what's expected of a girl, I guess, for at her age and in school, at the school. Whereas you have Aya and her friends who dress more in the Gyara style, who do so outside of school and in school, and who are very much like open, comfortable with that part of themselves. And I really like how that kind of rubs off on Mitsuki, and she is able to kind of like come out of her own shell both at school and at home. So that's really nice. But yeah, I think it's really great when character designs are used to actually reflect a character's kind of like journey or you know their own internal view of how they see themselves, which I think this does really well. But to get back on the green again, the green really helps those character designs pop off the page. Like they're really detailed character designs as well. Like I mean, down to the rings basically. But you get down to the green also helps convey emotions that the characters are experiencing as well. Like you want to see green on these pages. Like green is a good thing. Like green is the color you want to see. Especially in volume 3. Like there were quite a few emotional moments, and yeah, the use of the color really helps drive home what the characters are feeling, whether it's happiness, whether it's a sense of like despair or feeling like an outcast. It really helps know what's going on an emotional level, and I really enjoy that about the green. I am honestly upset with myself that I was so apprehensive about it, because now that I've read it, I've read 3 volumes of it, I'm like, you know, this is actually like a really good, really great use of art style, and I really like when mangaka can use like something original like that to kind of like convey emotions, to convey character traits, and I feel like again this does that really well. It does it phenomenally. I have loved it for the first 3 volumes. But again, yeah, art style, no notes here. It's fantastic. The green is amazing, and you shouldn't be worried about it if that's been your hang up for not reading this. You should get into it and embrace the green, I would say. Talk about the side characters a little bit, because I have grown to really love these side characters. I feel like oftentimes it can be really easy for writers to figure out about the side characters, but I really like when the side characters are accomplices and partners in crime, and I feel like that's kind of where these side characters are getting, especially in volume 3 of this story. Because you know, Aya does want to build this world where Mitsuki feels like she belongs, or like wants to create a space where Mitsuki feels like she can express herself to her fullest, but she can't do that by herself. Like Aya is acts as a safe space for Mitsuki, obviously, but the fact that you know you need more than one person to build a community, right? So I really have enjoyed how not only Aya but Aya's friends Mao and Chizuru and um, the guy they befriend, Narita, have all kind of like formed this really nice kind of like wholesome friend group where they look out for each other. They especially are very protective of Mitsuki, just because you know Mitsuki typically was an outcast beforehand, or just generally didn't interact with a lot of people at school. So I really enjoy how like they one embrace her music taste, but also embrace her style, embrace her you know the way she is, so that Mitsuki can feel like she belongs somewhere, and that's like a really nice kind of like aspect of that. And I also enjoy how like they they know, like especially by the time you know this volume rolls around, they know about how Aya feels about Mitsuki, and they are one rooting for it, but also they're just kind of like very supportive of the fact they want to help in any way they can. Like they want to set things up, put things in place to like kind of help these two bridge any sort of like conflicts that may arise, or you know help them kind of like remain close, maybe even get closer. And you know, I don't know. I really enjoy that. I love it when the kids stand up for each other. I love it when they have each other's backs. I love it when they form little friend groups. So that's great. And I also love how Joe and Kana, who are well, Joe is Mitsuki's uncle, and Kana is Joe's ex girlfriend. I also love how they kind of form like a family unit for Mitsuki and kind of like give her a safe space at home as well, because they have they're very similar tastes, very similar styles. They just kind of broke up because, you know, Joe wanted to stay in Japan to raise Mitsuki, and kind of was talking about moving to LA, and she ended up doing that, and that's why they broke up. Now that's a whole thing. That's its own subplot, which is an amazing subplot, by the way. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed kind of like seeing that kind of dynamic as well, and seeing how also Kana specifically is very much like, so Aya, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you feeling? It's very much very much has felt out the situation. Like she knows what's going on. Jury's still out on whether Joe knows what's going on. He might kind of, I don't know, but you know what? I feel like he does. But yeah, it's a great kind of like band of sub characters. I really side characters. I really do enjoy kind of like seeing them, you know, all interact and kind of like have these interactions, and it makes the story and the world feel more fleshed out than just having Mitsuki and Aya basically be the only ones who are kind of like interacting and doing stuff. So yeah, side characters here, really great. Love them. They'll grow on you throughout the story, and you'll enjoy watching them form a little friend group as well. Right, it's time to talk about Mitsuki and Aya because they are the focal point. They are precious. They are who we are all here to see and who we are all rooting for. I myself am a big sucker for the trope where someone sees someone for who they are, accepts them for who they are, and then tries to carve out a space where they can be who they are in the world that they exist in. And in that regard, this story is perfect. It's like right up my alley. It's right for me. To start off with Mitsuki, Mitsuki kind of like has her own as she has she's plenty of her own struggles, but they really all stem from the fact that raised solely by her uncle, and kind of develops this love of rock and just like especially like older rock as well. That's not all that popular, and that she also just prefers to wear different things, and that gets her ostracized by other girls at school. And basically, by the time high school rolls around, she's a loner. She's by herself a lot of the time, and doesn't really engage with anyone if she doesn't have to. And I contrast that with Aya, who Aya is very outgoing, very capable of talking to people, very much capable of standing her own ground, standing up for people that aren't even herself. And these two share that commonality of again sharing the same kind of music taste with each other. And Aya sees this, and Aya also sees that Mitsuki is almost, I don't want to say withdrawing from the world entirely, but Kana, who is Joe's ex girlfriend, as I mentioned, kind of comes over and is talking about how she wants to take Mitsuki to LA with her, which honestly, that's a place Mitsuki might fit in more. Like that's a very realistic kind of take there. And Aya hears this. Aya's not having it. Aya wants to build a place where Mitsuki can be herself and where Mitsuki doesn't have to go across an ocean far away from her to do so. And I just really love that, and it's kind of the driving factor in the relationship on Aya's part is trying to like build this space, carve out this world that they can have together where they are, where they can stay together, where they can be together. And I've really enjoyed how Aya has been able to like one protect Mitsuki's interests, but also kind of like help her come out of her shell, help her gain more friends, help her be more active at school. And I also kind of had like Mitsuki has rubbed off on Aya in plenty of ways, but especially helping Aya kind of like accept and be more expressive in her own taste of music, or just her acceptance of her taste of music. Because while Mitsuki is very much like fully accepts who she is, fully accepts like the music that she likes, Aya, especially at the beginning of the story, is hiding a lot of that from her friends. Like her friends don't actually know what she listens to. Her friends don't actually like listen to that stuff at all. And she meets Mitsuki, and she has like finally someone to talk about this with, finally someone to like go back and forth with about this kind of stuff. And then eventually like other friends are like listening to it and like kind of like getting their recommendations, kind of engaging with the music with her. And she's also able to bring more people into that world and kind of like have that kind of space where, hey, there are other people who like what I like, and it's not like odd that I dress in this style, that I act this way, but I like to listen to this. So that's just a really nice kind of like aspect that I love about them. And I feel like they bring the best out of each other. They encourage each other to be to get to the next step, to be better than they are now, to really embrace who they are. And that's just again one of the big parts of this manga is the acceptance of who you are, and having someone who accepts you for who you are. And yeah, I don't know, it's great. um and I've also enjoyed watching uh the other characters kind of have these realizations over time, like oh, Aya likes her. um it's fun. It's really fun. I enjoy it. And it's also kind of fun watching I kind of like grapple with the fact that like, oh well, maybe Mitsuki just sees me as like just a friend, or like doesn't see me beyond being just a friend. So like yeah, I don't know, seeing them grapple with both their attraction to each other as well as trying to build this space together is really nice. It's really wholesome. It's really sweet. I enjoy it. And it is one of the focal points of this story, and something that I think a lot of people will resonate with and a lot of people will like. So that is just a brief kind of like talk about those two and how they are great and how they are wonderful. Right, now we're talking about volume three because I read this one, and oh boy, I thought that volume two ended on a crazy cliffhanger because, for context, obviously, if anyone's watching this and hasn't read them or hasn't seen the TikToks that I've made, Mitsuki was kind of like writing her own song, and then I was like, oh my god, we should share this with people. And Mitsuki's like, whoa, 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 because like at this point, that is like their own kind of world that they have together. Like the music, even with Aya's friends getting involved with music, even with like Narita also kind of like going to a music festival with Kan and Joe, Mitsuki and Aya as well. the music is still Aya and Mitsuki's world together. It's not something that they want to share with other people, or it's not something that they share with other people at this point. And that is the key point of conflict in this volume specifically, because what happens is, Mitsuki's more or less writing her songs, doing what she does, enjoying life. And unfortunately, one time when she's out of the classroom, one of their classmates stumbles into, well, before that even, she gets discovered on the internet because she was in the park playing the guitar, was filmed, went viral on the internet. But as social media works, people forget. People just it didn't stick very long before things went back to normal. However, just as things are getting back to normal, one of their classmates knocks over Mitsuki's stuff on the desk while she's out of the room, picks it up, opens the book, realizes that there's a song in there, and then the song's written in English because Mitsuki, again, being interested in English artists, is very good at English. However, the classmate then takes it upon himself to translate the entire song from English and write it on the board in the room. And Mitsuki, who was going back to the room first before anyone else in the friend group, shows up in the room, and everyone is reading her song that is, plastered on the blackboard. And to make matters worse, it is a love song because it's called 24-Hour Radio, and it's a reference to Aya saying that if Mitsuki was a 24-hour radio, she would listen to her all the time. And I'm like, ooh, that's bad. That's real rough. And so that's like, Mitsuki at this point sees this. People are like talking about it, like, oh, but like that's secret. Like that was something for her. That was her thing. That was what she like. That was her world, and now it's just plastered on the blackboard for everyone in the class to see. And then Aya and the rest of the friend group comes back, and this pisses Aya off because Aya sees the 24-hour radio, knows what she said, realizes what this is, and yells at everyone. Says, if you can't like understand that this is personal, that this is like something, and if you're making light of this, then you don't actually understand what makes Mitsuki cool at all. And that kind of results in Mitsuki, having realization that she needs to convey herself to others and like be herself at school. And she's absent for about a week, few days, I don't know. But then comes back and is dressing more in her style as she dresses like out of school. Like she's got like I believe she had her piercings if I remember correctly, but she was definitely wearing pants, definitely wearing her like more just like loose style, as opposed to the regular schoolgirl outfit that she's been wearing for the previous two volumes. And she does thank Aya for like helping her come out of her shell, helping her realize that she can be someone, that she doesn't have to hide who she is to other people. And she thanks her for like again realizing that she's cool and whatnot. And Mitsuki continues writing more songs. Starts uploading songs to the internet basically. But during this time, Mitsuki gets very popular, and unfortunately, what happens with popularity is everyone wants a piece of your time. Underclassmen, people in their class, whatever have you. And the thing is that, while Aya did want to build this world for Mitsuki, I think there's one thing about Aya is that she really liked when it was just their world together. And I think that's the driving point of conflict here for me that I'm seeing is that Aya is realizing that, oh my god, like, yeah, like it's great that other people are accepting her, but like, not other people like her style. Other people think she's cool. Other people like these things about her. And she's spending more time with other people, and it's taking her away from me. And like the things that were just for us are no longer just for us. And that does upset her on a level. But here comes W Wingman Narita to the rescue, who suggests having a prom at their high school, because that's more of like a, I guess I didn't realize that was also like something that they don't do in Japan, but apparently not. So yeah, I suggest having a prom for the school. However, one of the songs that Mitsuki uploaded on the internet catches the eye of an underclassman whose father is a producer. So the underclassman basically gets her producer father to invite Mitsuki to a party that's on the same day as the prom, which is on Christmas, which is wild. Like, I mean, I'm just saying this again as someone whose prom was like at the end of our year and like not on Christmas. That's a wild date for prom, but I digress. And this creates another conflict because I was thinking, oh yeah, I can like ask Mitsuki to prom with me, but Mitsuki comes with this huge news that hey, this producer who at a big label recognized who I was, and tells her to like kind of like go do that, but Aya's just not happy with it at all. Aya wanted to be there with Mitsuki. She wants that's what she wants to be with Mitsuki, like as more than a friend for sure. And you know that's the big point of conflict at the end there, as well as the fact that, you know, as I mentioned, Joe and Kana have kind of been like, you know, living together a little bit. Also, kind of like, you know, because she came back to Japan to visit basically, and she'd been kind of like living with Joe and Mitsuki in the same way that she had before they broke up. But this upsets Kana because Kana was kind of like, you know, I wanted to be a family with you before, but like you wouldn't come with me to America. You wouldn't like you wouldn't have me be your family essentially. Like it was not like the timing was wrong for all this stuff, and she's very upset, understandably, because you know it can be very confusing. You break up with someone just because things just don't work out, and then you come back. You guys are getting along really well. You're playing house almost, and it sets some things off. So Kana's then like, I'm just going back to LA. I'm leaving, and I'm like, whoa, there's things are falling apart like this. Things are falling apart in here, and I'm like, this is crazy. Which again gets to like the emotional aspect because, like as I mentioned, Green is good in this book. Um, the background, even like not like having the sort of white kind of like background is black when things are bad, like and there's a lot of black backgrounds in here. So I was like, oh, this is crazy, this we're getting somewhere. But you know, effectively this volume kind of ends with this moment in the end of kind of like the volume where Joe is driving Mitsuki to the producer's party on the same day because Kana is also leaving on Christmas. So prom is happening. Aya's there by herself. Kana is leaving the country on Christmas, and Joe and Mitsuki are sitting in the car driving to the producer's party. And you know, Mitsuki's very upset. She's like, "Why is Kana leaving? Did something happen?" Because she sniffed it out, and she's like, "You know what? You need to like consider her feelings and yours, and go do something about it. Like you need to go get her." And so she's just like, "I'm getting out." Gets out the car. I'm like, "Whoa, okay, okay." I like the confidence. I like the confidence. And so the volume ends off on this moment where Mitsuki's on the side of the street. She can go, I believe, left and keep going to the station to get to the producer's party, or she can go right and go to the school and go to prom. And she has a realization at the end of the volume because she, like, you know, her and I have been having trouble the entire time because of the issues that I kind of highlighted, and they've been having trouble very realistically. And eventually, Mitsuki has a realization at the very end. She's like, "Oh," and that's where the volume ends. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, what a cliffhanger! Like the other two cliffhangers in volumes 1 and 2 were kind of crazy, but like this one's like this is the best one. I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy!" Like I need to see what happens next. I need volume 4 immediately. But to that, I mean, Joe, go get your girl. Mitsuki, go get your girl. Like I need you two to lock in because you can't, don't let him get away. Don't let him get away twice. In Joe's case, anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's really, really good use of conflict in this volume, I would say, especially when it comes to what it's like when it's, you know, when you appreciate someone for who they are, it's one thing, but when everyone else starts doing it and you kind of start seeing like, oh, well, like that was like what I liked about them, you know, and especially because these two are in high school. Like, I mean, as an adult, it's probably like, oh, you know, you see things that you like about the person you like and like other people like that sort of stuff. You're like, oh, okay. But there is a jealousy aspect of it for Aya, and you know, Mitsuki is also kind of just like, you know, trying to be more of herself, but also kind of like in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to pursuing her dream, but also pursuing the affections of the person she loves or likes. I don't know. She loves her. I'm gonna say it. But yeah, yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. I love Volume 3, and I cannot wait to read Volume 4 whenever it comes out. So I will be patiently waiting for that. Right, and that brings us to the end of the video. If you sat through the whole thing, thank you very much for doing so, and thank you for, you know, sitting in on my first video of 2026. And hopefully there will be more. I have some things planned out. Like I have a list of ideas for videos and things I want to talk about. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to work through some of those and spend more time getting better at YouTube, getting better at DaVinci, and yeah. Final message: if you haven't checked out the Green Yuri yet, pick it up. I'm telling you right now, pick it up. Like this, you know, it sounds like a threat. It's kind of a threat. Like you need to pick this up. This is really good. You're doing yourself a disservice by not checking it out. But again, thank you for sitting and watching. Thank you for supporting me, and I'll see you next time.